Hey boyos, Daily Check-in with John Vee. It is April 9th, 2026. So yeah, probably a bit of a long video. I say that, it'll probably be a short video, but we'll see. Um, I haven't been posting much because I've been having some mental health issues the past couple of months and just delusional stuff, caused from trauma, from past events, which is technically schizophrenia. I don't want to go on a higher dose of meds because I feel the meds amplify certain negative characteristics of my personality, like not socializing enough, and it just makes it worse. Um, but this will tend to happen every couple years. I'll have a few months where I start having really terrible delusions and start wanting to commit suicide to get away from them. And I hoarded 500 Benadryl tablets, um, making plans for suicide to take all 500 to, end it. And I never did, which is fortunate because these delusions that I have, I start to think that they're real and I want to kill myself to get away from them. And fortunately, I have not done that because I have a lot to live for, right? Even though I'm a fat, balding, middle aged man who doesn't have much of a life, but I still have a lot more to live for than some people, right? And I don't want to end it. When I'm in a good state of mind, I don't want to die. But the problem is, when I get in this really poor state of mind where I'm having delusions, I want it to be over. I want to escape. And when that happens, I don't want help. And the thing that stops me from suicide is I don't want it to not work and end up with like kidney failure or liver failure from taking a mass dose of vitamins or pills or something or drugs and not having it work right. So that's why the main reason why I haven't been posting much. Something in my personal life has to change because I haven't worked in over a year and I'm on disability. I get a disability check, right, as a lot of you know, and which is great, in some ways. The money I get, $979 a month, it's pennies. I can't live off of that. I could if I pinched pennies. Like almost half of that goes to rent, right? And I don't spend a lot on food, but when I do buy food, it's like junk food and canned food, food that's expensive, like $3 for a can of food. And of course, I'll have two cans of spaghetti and meatballs or something at a time, and that's $6, right? And that's not affordable. So, something has to give. I've been looking into finding a full time job again, just temporarily, 6 months or a year or something, and then a term of EI, and then go back on disability, right? Just long enough to pay off my debts, my credit card debts, and withdraw money into my pocket, my wallet, and have a few $1,000s in cash in my wallet when I go back on disability, right? And that's the plan. I'll probably end up getting a job working from home at a call center. That seems to be what I'm good at. It's really easy to get those jobs. You don't have to pay for commute. You don't have to pay for lunch, stuff like that. But of course, there's downsides to those jobs, like no physical activity. Like if I was working stocking shelves at a Walmart or something, uh, that would be my cardio for the day, and I'd lose weight and I'd get ripped within a couple of years, right? But but thing about that is I end up paying for lunch at McDonald's or something, and I have to commute to work, take the bus or something, show up half an hour early for work, and wait for the bus half an hour after my shift ends before it shows up, and plus pay a fee to use the bus. So yeah, there's benefits and downsides to every type of job. Working at home, the biggest downside is there's no physical activity involved. You're sitting on your ass in front of a computer. You might as well be playing a video game. That's the same activity level that you're gonna have. But everything else is great, right? But that's the plan. Get a full time job working from home for a period of 6 months to a year, and then go on a term of EI for 6 months. Probably get a note from the doctor laying me off work and go on a term of EI, and because a term of EI from a minimum wage job is still more than I'd get from disability, because a term of EI would be like, $1,200 for a month, whereas my disability check is $979, right? and full-time hours at a minimum wage job is still close to $2,000 a month. And $2,000 a month I can live off of comfortably and get ahead on bills, pay off my debts, and even save some money, have some money in my wallet. Um, but yeah, the big reason why I haven't been posting on the MISC or online or really doing anything is because the delusions I've been suffering from and wanting to commit suicide to escape them. And I have, in the past few months, been getting mental help and counseling at the hospital. I've been seeing a counselor, and he's gonna refer me to somebody who deals with people who have delusions. And I've also been seeing a psychiatrist. Not much has come of it. He just basically asked me questions like, "What do I do with my day?" Um, want to know about the delusions I have and about my mental health, stuff like that. But no real cure or solution to my problems. Just picking and prying, finding out the issues and stuff like that, and finding out more about me. Right. Originally, he said, "I don't think you're schizophrenic," but he changed it the next meeting and said, "Stay on the medication you're on. It seems to be helping you, right?" And because originally I wanted a mental health appointment because I wanted to go off the meds, because the meds, like I said, I feel amplify certain negative characteristics of my personality, like being antisocial. It makes it worse, right? It makes it a lot worse. There's other things too, like increased appetite and weight gain, but that's willpower. That comes down to willpower, right? If I was living on my own in an apartment in Halifax, in housing, I could just not eat crummy food that's laying around because there wouldn't be any, because I live with my sister, right? So she's got garbage food laying around, like hot dogs and, you know, juices and chips and ice cream and candy and chocolate and, junk food, like tasty stuff. And I give in to temptation because it's laying around, I just eat it. But, if I was living on my own, I wouldn't partake of stuff like that because I wouldn't buy it, you know, and I wouldn't even go to McDonald's or anything like that. I don't now, hardly ever. Um, but I will go to like the dollar store and buy some canned spaghetti and meatballs and a bag of chips and a few packages of Mr. Noodles instant ramen, maybe a bottle of pop, maybe a bottle of cranberry juice, orange juice, a couple chocolate bars, and that's expensive. That's expensive to do that, and pretty much all of that is crummy food. Even the orange juice and the cranberry juice, it's all crummy food, garbage. Um, but yeah, the main purpose of this video was to explain why I haven't been posting much, and that's because of my mental health. And like I said, it's not inherently schizophrenia. It's caused from trauma from a past event that I'm not going to go into detail about. It's just trauma from a past event, and you know, um, it didn't manifest itself until 13 years ago, 14 years ago, which was 10 years after the traumatic event. Then it manifested itself, and that was when I started having problems. And it's stuck with me off and on since 13, 14 years ago, where it'll come and go for a few months at a time and then be gone for a couple years. And I'm hoping that I adapt and eventually these delusions won't bother me anymore and they just disappear. That's kind of wishful thinking on my part, right? Because typically with mental illness, you have to deal with it for the rest of your life, and I don't want to. And the obvious solution is more medication. And I don't want to be on more medication, like I was saying, because it amplifies certain negative characteristics of my personality, like not socializing and, increased appetite, stuff like that. And it's mostly the not socializing part that bothers me because I'm not a social person by nature, and taking the meds for my mental health makes it even worse. It makes me socialize even less, right? And a healthy person socializes in real life, unless you're get her done, and of course then you don't have any conversations with anybody in life. You just stay to yourself and misc, which is fine. Like, if it's not affecting your mental health, right? Not to make fun of Get Her Done or anything, but it's nice to see him back. I know back a few months ago when I stopped posting, he he kind of went AWOL and disappeared, and just recently he came back, which is great because he's pretty much the heart and soul of the MISC, right? But I know there's other forums that I post on too, and the Looks Max Discord. I got some followers there that you know they like to keep up on tabs on me on what I'm doing and stuff, and maybe somebody will watch this video from the Discord, and you know, but uh, there's not a lot else to talk about. I'm still on the wait list for government housing in the city. I'm very excited for that. When I have these delusions, I start thinking maybe I shouldn't move out of my sister's and move out on my own, because being on my own in a bad mental state would be very catastrophic. Very catastrophic, because I probably would end up committing suicide. But I can't live in a bubble. I have to try to put my feet forward and move forward. Right, I have to try to. I can't live in a bubble where other people are taking care of me and watching me and coddling me. I can't live like that for the rest of my life, right? I have to try to pursue hopes and dreams and goals and try to better my life, even if, some things will suffer. But if it's making the majority of things better, then I have to try to move forward with it, right? And that's kind of a dilemma for me, because when I have these delusions, I start thinking I can't live on my own. If I live on my own, I'm going to be all by myself, and that's just going to amplify the suicidal thoughts and delusions, right? Because when I have these delusions, and I'll reach out to people and talk to them, and just to be in the company of other people, and it helps. It makes the delusions go away, right? And I'm worried because if I'm on my own, I won't be living with other people, and when I have these delusions in the city when I'm living there, I don't know a lot of people, and I'd have to go out on the street and talk to strangers, and I don't want to do that. I could, it'd help me meet people, but this is a hurdle that will be overcome when the time comes. I'm getting ahead of myself, right? For now, I'm not in housing yet. It might be 2 more years or longer before I'm in housing. By then, maybe a solution would have been found for my mental health problems, right? So I'm getting ahead of myself. It's not something I should be concerned about right now. I tend to tend to try to foresee future problems, right? And that's the wise thing to do. Foresee future problems to try to find a solution now rather than when you come to the situation, right? Obviously. And I am a bit of a foolish person, but as a 42-year-old man, I have accumulated some wisdom in my life, right? And that's a given with anyone. Anyone as they age, they're going to accumulate wisdom and become wiser overall, right? I'm quite an intelligent person. Um, I'm not the wisest person, but as a 42-year-old man, I have more wisdom than most people half my age, right? I would assume. Um, because in my youth, I was very, very foolish. Very foolish. I had no foresight or wisdom. And others seen that, and they would tell me, "You have no foresight or wisdom. You're a fool." And I don't get told that anymore, because, I try to be a wiser individual now, and I think it works. But, yeah, but that's enough about that. Um, I haven't been doing a lot with my time. Um, since I started having these delusions again, I haven't been doing a lot. I tend to just try to socialize, reach out to people, and just be in contact with people and socialize with people throughout the day, rather than do things on my own, like play games. Um, it's just the past few days I have been going back to playing computer games because I have been feeling a bit more mentally stable. Um, so things are starting to clear up a bit, which is fortunate, because the delusions are very painful, very traumatic, and Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail about what they're like or anything like that because it doesn't matter. A lot of it's nonsense. Um, I do have a nice big 40 ouncer of whiskey here I've hardly touched, and I bought that almost 2 weeks ago. It's just because of my mental state, I haven't been drinking, right? You know, I was feeling good for a couple days, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I'll buy a bottle of whiskey, and I had a couple drinks out of it, and I haven't touched it since. Um, One of these days soon, I'll probably start drinking it over the course of a week. I'll probably finish the whole bottle, right? Um, I'm still smoking like a chimney. I did try to quit half-heartedly. I went on the patch, and I was on the patch for over a month, still smoking on the patch, about a pack a day, which is down from 2 packs a day. And I realized this is folly because I don't actually want to quit right now. So I just gave up trying to quit because I have to be committed in my mind to wanting to quit before I try to quit, right? There's no point in trying to quit something if you don't actually want to quit it, right? And I'm aware of the health benefits there would be to quitting smoking and saving money and all that stuff. But the money isn't a big problem because it only costs me about $150 a month to smoke 2 packs a day because I buy all my cigarettes off the internet. It's mostly the health problems, the health repercussions. Um, that is the upside. Um, that's pretty much it. And that's not as big of a factor right now as it could be. When I get to be a bit older, you know, the health repercussions will become more severe with smoking, right? As it is, I'm not in the greatest of health, still comparatively to when I was a child. My health is probably better overall, but it's still not great. I can't do any manual labor for any length of time without becoming short of breath and just feeling really bad. Um, Part of that is because of my weight, and smoking, as much as I do, does help to keep the weight off, right? Because if I quit smoking, I would start eating more and get fatter, and I don't want that either, right? So, but for now, the smoking, it's fine, right? I have a whole bunch of smokes. I have like 3 or 4 months worth of cigarettes here in my room. So for now, I'm smoking. I'll worry about quitting later, right? Same with the weight loss. I'll worry about losing weight later. My life is kind of on hold until I get into government housing in the city. Um, right now, these days, I'm just trying to relax, play some games, try to mitigate the damage of gaining weight, and just try to stay about the same weight. Um, Try to socialize with my family and, spend time with them before I move away, right? Because once I move away, I'll only be back a couple times a year to visit my family. And I do have big plans for when I move to the city. I plan to attend a lot of events at the game stores for Magic, right? And I plan to get a casual job to supplement my income, right? Um, but for now, I want a full time job as of now, temporarily. But once I move to the city, I want a casual job where I can get an extra, $350 a month added onto my income. The reason why I'm not doing that now is because I'm really limited by where I can work around here, and most places are not going to take you on for 6 or 8 hours a week unless you've already worked there and then you're all trained and everything, and they'll be like, yeah, we'll give you a shift a week. But nobody's going to train you for a week to have you work 1 day a week and then have you fuck off and just leave, right? So nobody's going to do that. But yeah, a bit of a long video, almost 20 minutes so far. But as a lot of you know, I do compose myself quite well on camera, and I do speak very well. So I am very well suited for a at-home call center job, work from home, remote. Um, it's what I'm good at, you know. But even that, it does drive me crazy after a while doing that kind of work because I tend to work harder, not to toot my own horn, but I do tend to work faster and harder than most other people when I have a job. and I end up burning out. I'll get to the point where it's just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And I just quit or ask for a layoff. And it's better to burn out than fade away, as the song goes, right? I don't fade away. Um, a lot of the people I've worked with, they're already faded away when they start the job. They're just putting the bare minimum effort forward. Their boss is always getting after them, telling them, pick up the pace, work harder, and I never get told that. Never. Nobody watches me or hovers over me because I work harder than anybody else when I have a job, right? It's a good thing and a bad thing, like I said, because I burn out and I reach the point where it's just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore, and I just quit or give notice or get laid off or something like that, which is fine if I only want temporary labor or work, and that is all I want at the moment. It's just temporary work for 6 months, a term, long enough to earn a term of EI, be on EI for 6 months as well, and then go back to being on disability. Right? It's a plan. It's a plan, and yeah. But yeah, there isn't much else to say. Um, Obviously, I still look like hell. I look like a typical middle-aged fat man. And it's quite sad because I'll go to the grocery store and the people my age, I look better than most of them. The people my age are way fatter than me. A lot of them look to be pushing 300, 350 pounds. And especially women. I'll see women in the grocery store that are 300 pounds or more and with a bunch of kids, or they're single. And dude, it's appalling, right? Because I go to the grocery store and I mog half the people I see. And that's sad because I'm not a very attractive man at all anymore. I used to be. But, I could look substantially better if I lost 60, 70 pounds. I wouldn't even look like the same person. I've said this before, but, that's my dream, is get back down to 160, 160, 170, 175, 180, somewhere in that range. Get ripped, get a tan, practice posing, you know, get really lean and vascular, and, I wouldn't even look like the same person. My beard's looking nice. I got this trimmed just a couple days ago, um, so it's not all scruffy. The hair does need to be trimmed. I know I'm severely balding, but meh, you know. I don't tend to get lots of negative remarks about my appearance for some reason. I tend to just blend in with the crowd. I'm quite unremarkable looking. Um, compared to most people, I look like a normal person, right? You know, um, especially for people my own age, right? I'm just generally unremarkable looking in appearance. And, and in some ways, that's a good thing, to be invisible, right? You don't stand out, make a good spy. Um, I know in my youth, when I did start lifting weights and was really lean and really thin, I would get a lot of attention. Like, people would single me out and tell me how good I looked and stuff like that, which was fine, but being invisible isn't so bad either, right? I don't think I'm terrible. I don't think I look absolutely terrible. Like, I'm not good looking, obviously, but I don't look absolutely appalling. I just look like your typical middle aged father, right? Who's overweight and doesn't exercise enough. That's just how I look, I think. And I still do get female attention, right? Not so much since I stopped work, but anytime I've had a job where I worked in the community, I got female attention despite how bad I look. I would have female attention, and, at least, I still got a chance, right? If I get back into the dating world eventually, and if I lose a lot of weight, get in good shape, and have my life looking up, I think I'd have a lot of options like I used to in my youth, and, a lot of you boyos will try to drag me down, a lot of you trolls, and you neg me and try to put me in the red. It ain't gonna work. But I know you'd like to have me believe that I'm some disgusting, ugly individual, and there is some truth to it, but, compared to the average person, I look pretty normal, right? The average person does not look that good, and so I just blend in. But yeah, we're on a 25-minute video, so I think that's long enough. It was nice talking to you guys, and if you watch this long, I really sincerely appreciate it. And I hope to do another video again in the future, the near future, in a couple days. And I plan to post more often and be more active on the forum and on the Discord and all that. So I'll catch you guys later and see you guys online.